and welcome to Political Quickie, your political show that subjectively discusses current affairs in South Africa and all around the world. My name is Mapasik Amura. We're back. Yes, we're back. Okay, in my defense, I've had a hectic 7 months. Okay, but Sabalung Kosi did call me out. He told my little sister to tell me that he sees me out in these streets analyzing politics, but he does not see Political Quickie. So I'm so sorry. Okay, but we're back. I'm committing to one episode every single week. If I happen to shoot and put out more than that, amazing. That would be great. Actually, that would be amazing. However, on to more important things currently happening in the country. We're anticipating the budget speech. Okay, you can actually anticipate 2 different speeches from the Minister of Finance every single year. The budget speech that tells us how much money was collected, received by the government, and how much money they plan to spend. Okay, the second one would be the mid-term budget policy statement, where government tells us its policy stance, right? So what's the number one thing that we're anticipating from the budget speech? That would be economic growth. The budget speech, however, in 2019 projected a 1.5% growth. So we know that South Africa, right, in 2019, in the second quarter specifically, the economy grew by 3.1%. And then in the third quarter, it contracted. It shrunk, right, by a good 0.6%, which was sad. Actually, what we're currently seeing in the country right now is the lowest economic growth since the technical recession in 2008. Yeah, that is crazy. So what is the opposite of economic growth? That would be economic decline, which means that the government will actually borrow more, which means that debt will increase, right? Our borrowing went from 238 billion rands to 239 billion rands, right? Our current debt is actually sitting at over 50% of our GDP. Over 50%. What's even crazier is the amount of money it takes to service that debt, right? We'll get into that a little bit later on. So let's have a clearer discussion on the actual numbers. The consolidated government expenditure was 1.8 trillion rands. 1.4 trillion of that was collected from tax, which actually means that there is a shortfall. We're spending more than we actually have. 209 billion rands of that was allocated to economic development, 211 billion rands to peace and security, 65.3 billion rands of that to general public services, a whopping, not a whopper from Burger King, but a whopping 1.10 trillion trillion rands of that to social services. Just to break it down a little bit, 386 billion to learning and culture. We do know that NSFAS was able to fund more people and clear some historical debt, which is amazing. Bravo to them. Bravissimo. All right. 222 billion rands to health. We're excited to see how they'll incorporate the NHI. Obviously, there will be more tax collected for that, but it's going to be exciting to see how they incorporate that into the budget. 208 billion rands to community development, 278 billion rands to social development. And here's that scary figure I was talking about earlier, 202 billion rand to service debt. In fact, out of 109 countries, South Africa actually ranks 30th in the bill to service debt. The government has got these issues. 1, corruption. 2, government is not running like a business. And 3, we're dependent on tax. In terms of corruption, why? This is exactly what Chris Hani was talking about, where he says he is afraid that these liberators will actually emerge as fat cats who are actually looting from the state, driving around in very expensive cars. Your people, Chris Hani, here are your people, as you say, right? So the first thing you can do is rid of these inquiries, commissions of inquiries that are costing so much, millions and millions of rands, okay? The police must actually do their job and investigate. The NPA must do its job and prosecute, okay? The second thing is your dependence on tax. How? What's even scarier scary about that setup is that government makes more money from personal income tax. Second to that is VAT, and third to that is corporate tax, which means that businesses are actually not paying their fair share in tax. And I know capitalists will say, oh, but actually they create employment. That's why. That is why. Okay. But you need to rethink that entire situation, especially because it's actually the small businesses that are getting the hefty bill at the end of the day. Okay. The third thing, we need to run like a business. Our government needs to run like a business. Okay. The president has said that our state-owned enterprises are actually overstaffed. This is not a popular opinion or stance, but it's actually true, right? If state-owned enterprises decided to retrench, which will actually alleviate some of the pressure, and government will not be giving so much money as it does to Eskom and SAA, right? We'll see unions coming to the forefront and taking these state-owned enterprises to court. We'll see protests, and we'll see, and this is the most important point, we'll see unemployment go high. But there is a trade-off, and something needs to happen. The pressure that is on state-owned enterprises needs to be alleviated somehow. Okay, something's got to give. Something just got to give. Another thing would be the fact that our government just multiple streams of income. Come on. Okay, we can't be depending on tax. We need to find other avenues to actually make money, for our government to actually make money. You can't depend on the private sector to go and plant or establish companies in Nigeria, in wherever around the world, and then not even tax them as much as you should and say somehow we just collecting. No. Figure out, we've spoken about beneficiation so many times, but it just happens to fall in deaf ears. Beneficiation. The resources that we have, government assembly, right? Turn them into finished products and sell them at world market prices. Please, the government needs to do that, not the private sector, right? Because your situation ain't doing it. So, the one thing that we do know is that the Minister of Finance is going to have to cut expenditure somewhere, somehow. So where he does that, whether he will finally deal with the very hefty public sector wage bill, or I don't know what he's going to do, but he has to do something. Yeah. Anyways, I love you guys. Use your talents to serve humanity, and I will see you next week. I don't know when, which day of the week, but I know I'll definitely see you next week. Use your talents to serve humanity.